Well, folks, good day to you one and all. And we're doing what we do best, what we love on a Wednesday night, Sports and GT Masters Series. And today, as usual, alongside me, the voice of Western Province Motorsport, Frankie Yennis. Frankie, good evening to you.
Hello, Gary. Good evening, everybody. And yeah, this is going to be an awesome one. We do the iRacing Master Series, and we come to you from Watkins Glen in New York City. And it's going to be a fantastic race. Temperatures 19 degrees out there. Track is 5.4 kilometers long, 136 meters above sea level, and 19 degrees Celsius out there. 7% chance of rain. Partly cloudy and a 3 kilometer an hour wind, where the guys will be out there in these Riley Sports prototypes, and we are looking forward to some serious action out there on track.
No doubt about it, it's going to be pretty good out there as always. So we're in the qualifying session. So for those of you that are regulars, as you know, the guys come out on circuit for the 10-minute qualifying. They do a sighting lap, pick up the timers on the start-finish line, and when they come through for their first lap and their second lap, those times will then show under the qualifying. The computer then says to them, thank you, go home, go to the pits, cheers and good night, go and relax, and then they all come back up on screen again directly after that when we go to the start of the race. So it's Johan Verree that's out there on track, and I see Mike Verrier, Frankie, has not come out for the qualifying session, so I take it that he has relegated himself to the tail end of the field. And then one of the top competitors alongside Johan Verree, Graham Stephen, he's also out there on circuit, and we'll see as they work their way around now. We'll start picking up the faster lap times. I see Herman Lazarus is out there as well. cheapercars.co.za in his favorite colors. See Eugene Manuk is also out there as well. A lovely color scheme. We won't be able to miss out on that one. Willem Pinaar is the first man that was out of the pits and the first man to put up a fastest lap. And immediately behind that, Johan Verree goes to the top end of the field. Johan Verree and, wow, Swayze Joubert is in there as well. Oh, the Jouberts are into play tonight. Francois Joubert goes to the top end of the log.
Now with a 1:42.784 provisional pole for Francois Joubert with 4 minutes into the 10 minutes qualifying session. You were talking about Dr. Mike Verrier early on, and he did mention after the first round of the iRacing Master Series that he would start the rest of the season at the back of the field because of few individuals that were unhappy about a few things. So he did say, well, I will start the entire series for 2022 at the back of the field. There we see Luke Lucchesi in the Hot Wheels car, and he was on a provisional pole in the practice session early on. So it's going to be a pretty quick one out there, I do believe, for him. In the practice, the same role players were up front. It was Luke Lucchesi, it was Johan Verree, and Francois Joubert were three of the four role players that we expected to be out there in pole position. There's Robbie Teings in the Red Bull Racing outfit on the Riley. There's quite a few drivers that due to work commitments and other circumstances couldn't make it out to race this evening, and that opens the door for the other participants. That's Timothy Stanton in the GoDaddy sponsorship on that Riley Sports prototype of his. Danica Patrick used to have that GoDaddy sponsorship on her IndyCar and her NASCAR a couple of years ago. There's Andre Steenkamp in the Batmobile, currently finding himself there in that 8th position. But Johan Verree, 142.620 so far is the quickest driver out there.
Peter van der Spey has now joined us in that 9th position. Captain Pete, he was on the Second Gear Talk Show last night. And
look at him pole, Gary.
Wow, Peter Joubert, there's a big one. Not Francois Joubert, Peter Joubert. Well, he's been getting stronger and stronger all season long, and let's see what the livery on that car looks like. That is Peter Joubert, 17 car. And what is that? The Rockstar Energy car.
Yeah.
Very, very nice, I must say. Well, we saw Herman Lazarus earlier on, but look at this. Graham Stephen, long way down, 1.8. He must have had a bad first lap.
Yeah, finding himself 1.8 seconds off the leader and all the way down in P13 in the Gulf colored Riley sports car. So he's got a lot of work to do with 6.5 minutes out of the 10 minutes done in the qualifying session. This production brought to you by Second Gear Talk Show and Second Gear Productions, as Renier Hubert, that's in that 14th position in car number 18, works his way around the track. This is a lovely flowing circuit. There's Willem Pienaar in the Castrol outfit going into that left-hander. But Peter Hubert still 142.283 is the quickest driver out there. In 17th position is car number 15. That's Leonardo Bakari. 3.7 seconds off provisional pole sitter Peter Hubert. And he also boasts the Castrol livery on the side of his Riley sports car.
Eugene Minuk has not put up a time yet, so he must have had an off track on his initial outlap. As the Huberts, for the first time, look at that, the front row of the grid provisionally. Francois Hubert says, well, Peter, if you're going to go there, I'm going to join you. Luc Lucchesi says, I can't afford Jobert front row. I will take it to the front. Look at that.
141.784 for Luc Lucchesi. Johan Fourie currently 0.6 of a second behind Lucchesi, finding himself there in that 4th position. Third place man Francois Hubert in the rowdy outfit. Peter van der Spy, Captain Pete in the US Air Force color scheme. He is currently in that 7th position. With that man you see on screen there, the Batmobile car 46 of Andre Steenkamp in P8, 1.4 seconds, 1.476 off Luc Lucchesi.
Well, he's inside of the front half of the grid, but just is in that 8th position. Eugene Minuk puts up a time, 3.9 seconds off. I don't think Eugene's had a chance to do much practicing on this. Actually a massive difference for once.
So Andre Steenkamp still out there in that 8th position, 8.5 minutes done. There's 1.5 minutes left in the qualifying session. And Johan still 0.6 of a second off Luke, finding himself there in provisional 4th place at this point in time. Luc Lucchesi with a 141.784 is the fastest driver out there so far. Andre Steenkamp in P8, 1.4 seconds off Luc Lucchesi in that 8th place in that Batmobile. There's a minute to go in the qualifying sessions. So I'm almost certain that pretty much by now, as you see those 18 drivers on your television screens and TV monitors at home, that is probably where they're going to start this one, going into the slight uphill. There we see Raymond Duggan, and Raymond in car 071, 2.1 seconds off Luc Lucchesi, finding himself there in that 13th position.
Well, remember there's just one more that's going to be out there. That's Mike Ferrier. With just 27 seconds to go, he has not come out of the pits. He's just stayed there in the pits. Raymond Duggan, one of the last of the guys to go out and get his qualifying times in. Can he break up into the top 10? Well, let's see the monster car. See that monster livery on there, nice black and orange. Very nice color scheme, that I must say. Riley's not exactly great looking motor cars, but pretty interesting to drive as we get to the end of the session. So let's see, where are they going to play out on the grid? Front row was almost a Jobert lockout. Luc Lucchesi and Peter Jobert on the front row of the grid.
Row 2 was Francois Hubert and Johan Fourie. Row 3, Space Hubert and Robbie Teens. And row 4, Captain Peter van der Spy and Andre Steenkamp.
Then we got Timothy Stanton and Graham Stephen locking out the front 10 with Herman Lazarus and Wayne Camage just outside of the top 10.
Raymond Duggan and Charles Hubert, Willem Pienaar and Renier Hubert are in that 8th row of the grid. The 9th row is Leonardo Bakari and Eugene Minuk. And all on his own in the 10th row is Dr. Mike Verrier, who opts to start from the back of the grid.
Yep. Well, that's a choice that he made, and yeah, I think you can only claim respect from something like that. Let's see what that looks like from upstairs. There you are. That's the blimp shot, the blimp right on the other side of the circuit. And, well, I think we're in for a pretty decent race out there, no doubt. That front row is going to be blindingly quick. Look at that beautiful livery on the Rockstar Energy Drink 17 car. And then the Top Wheels Racer, the number 3, alongside that. Luke Lucchese with a lovely, lovely color scheme that he's got there.
So if you look at those spectators, they're already pretty happy. You can see one gentleman there with his arms up in the air. That's how much the computer thinks the excitement that this race is going to be, and we fully agree with what the computer is saying. This is going to be entertaining stuff, to say the least. So 19 drivers out there. We're about to go 40-minute racing at Watkins Glen. There's a jump start there for the car number, it could be number 18, Renier Hubert, and that could cost him dearly at the end of the day. A horrible start there by one of the Huberts. No, hang on, I think they're going around behind the pace car. Yes, they are.
They pulled away pretty quick. It almost
Yeah.
looked, when you couldn't see the pace car, it looked like they were really keen to get off the line. You might find these riders need a bit of temperature in the tires, and for that reason, the guys coming off the line pretty hard.
Yeah, well, I saw what looked like a jump start. That's why I presumed that they were going to just go off the line, but no. They are behind the safety vehicle that will, the pickup truck that will take them around Watkins Glen Speedway. So they're heading up now through the S's. They're working, as you see, that whole conglomeration of cars going down that back straight behind that pickup truck. And then they'll do that left-right into what is known as the inner loop. The inner loop will be coming up shortly. There you can see it in front of the official pace truck. They will go into that right left-hander through that inner loop, which takes them to the outer loop. As we follow Willem Pienaar and the Castrol outfit, there they're making their way through the outer loop. It's a long right-hander. Then from there, it is downhill. That part of the circuit is called the chute. They go over the rise, and then it is downhill through the chute into that left-hander that is part of the chute. And then a slight little blimp on the gas, which takes them into the boot area. And that will be the toe of the boot that they are heading to now. That hairpin right-hander looming there ahead of them, that is the toe of the boot.
Quite a downhill section, that into a pretty tight and banked corner that brings you into the base of the boot.
Then they're on the gas for a short while until they head into that right-hander called the heel of the boot as they go up the rise. So that's almost a full lap of Watkins Glen into that right-hander. Then they're going to climb slightly uphill. There they go. Climb slightly uphill into a almost 45-degree left-hander. And then from there, it's slightly downhill into another left-hander, which will lead them into the final corner and then down the main straight into turn one that's known as 90 degrees.
Well,
So
that's the modern name for that one, the 90 degree, as they refer to it on paper. So Watkins Glen International, 4 different configurations, and this track hosts NASCAR Cup Infinity Series, the IMSA WeatherTech sports cars, and also the Arca Menard Series as well.
right, so we go green for 40 minutes at Watkins Glen, and it's Luke Lucchese from Peter Hubert, Francois Hubert, and Johan Fourie. Right behind them, it's Swayze Hubert. That's that first group of cars. There's Herman Lazarus, busy making his way through. He's got Charles Hubert right there with him as they go into the S's. That is out of the 90 into the S's. They go, working their way out of the S's. Down that back straight they run towards the inner loop. They are side by side. Peter Hubert is sitting there on the outside of Luke Lucchese. Lucchese leads them through the inner loop. It's a right, a squirt, a left, down through that right-hander known as the outer loop. Then they drop down that steep drop down known as the chute. Even that left-hander is part of the chute. Herman Lazarus in the cheaper cars, .co.za car sits there next to Charles Hubert in car number 6. He's got his nose ahead there of Charles Hubert, and he is just behind Raymond Duggan. But it's all about Luke Lucchese making his way out of the toe of the boot, and into the barrier goes somebody Timothy Stanton in the GoDaddy car made contact with that driver that went into the Armco barrier. Now they're heading towards the toe of the boot, into that right-hander. They will climb up the rise once again into that nearly 45-degree left-hander. As it's getting very close there. There was a bit of rubbing. Johan Fourie there on Francois Joubert wanted to come through, Gary, as they work their way towards the final corner of Watkins Glen.
As they'll be round about now, they should get the tyres up to temperature. That's the end of lap number 1, as you can see on the track map on the right-hand side. And, well, it's going to be a Luke Lucchese, Pieter Joubert, Johan Fourie, Francois Joubert up front battle. Graham Stephen, that initially wasn't that high up, has already got himself up into a top 5. Graham Stephen looking good.
Now, Timothy Stanton in the GoDaddy cars in pit lane because he made contact with another driver that whacked an Armco barrier pretty hard. It might have been Sway Joubert that went into that Armco barrier. As a matter of fact, I speak under correction, but I think it is Sway Joubert. Captain Peter van der Spy coming through. Now have a look at this gaggle of cars that's going into the inner loop. There's Dr. Mike Verrier. He's gone from P19 up to P14 so far as the doc. And is that Pinar? Yes, it is Pinar. They got it slightly sideways there, making contact with the 18 car and had to correct heavily there. Went off the circuit, did Willem Pinar. Representing the UK and Ireland is Willem, and he's going to drop down that leaderboard.
Other man having a problem there was Mike Verrier. He was doing exceptionally well and really catching up at that stage of the fight, and then this happened in front of him and he got nipped and bang into the barrier he goes. So quite a bit of damage, I'm pretty sure, on that motor car back to the front end of the field.
Well, it's all about Luke Lucchese that sits, always uses the track and more there in the Hot Wheels car. Then it's the Monster Energy car that is just ahead there of the Rockstar car. That's Fourie and Pieter Joubert, and right on his heels is a 304 of Francois Joubert. So we ride aboard with Pieter Joubert. We have a look at that front left-hand side suspension of that Riley Sports prototype as Pieter Joubert looks right into that back wing there of the Monster Energy Riley of Johan Fourie, and in the distance you can see the Hot Wheels car of race leader Luke Lucchese.
Luke Lucchese starting to stretch the boys out at the front end of the field, and if we look at that interval, well, the front 4 very close to one another. Woo! That was one hell of a move that just went through there, and it looks like Mike Verrier has got damage on his car because he's had yet another incident. Yup, well, you can see not much traction on that back wheels with that damaged wing, and unfortunately losing the tail end and now mashing that car pretty very badly. Back to Luke Lucchese. Look at that, all open up there in front of him. But look at what's looming behind, a 3-way battle.
Yeah, it's a 3-way battle that's been led there by Johan Fourie, 3/10 of a second ahead of Pieter Joubert, who is 3/10 of a second behind Francois Joubert. And that is second, third, and fourth. You see going into that right-hander, and they are watching Lucchese disappear down the road, making their way into that left-hander. Yeah, they are heading now towards the end of the lap. They just worked their way out of the boot section. There will be another left-hander coming up. There is Peter van der Spy, and he is 7/10 of a second behind the man in front of him there, Robbie Teens, as they drop down towards the final corner. The right-hander here at Watkins Glen. Going into that right-hander is Andre Steenkamp, Herman Lazarus, and right behind him in the other monster car is Raymond Duggan, and Duggan is 2/10 of a second behind ninth place man Herman Lazarus.
The next man behind that is Charles Joubert, and that's what 3.1 seconds looks like. You look out into the distance and you can then only right further up front see those cars, and yeah, you'll get that sinking feeling at that stage of the fight. It's Johan Fourie that is starting to put the pressure on in that threesome for second, third, and fourth. He's got up to second with an almost 2-second gap to Luke Lucchese. Well, he's got to get the hammer down if he wants to take the fight to Luke Lucchese. He'll be very aware if somebody of that caliber gets away, you don't catch them very easily. And he's already got a half a second on Pieter Joubert and Francois Joubert that are in very close unison for that third and fourth positions.
Now, Johan will pull away and secure that second place. And once that job is done, then he will set his gun sights on race leader Luke Lucchesi. Lucchesi coming through in the Hot Wheels car. Then it is Johan Fourie. Right behind him, it's Peter Hubert as we look from the front right-hand side of fourth place man, car 304. Francois Hubert is 4/10 of a second behind Peter Hubert. We move on to that left-hand side of Francois' car. That suspension very, very sturdy there on that Riley Sports prototype. And Francois is right on that back wing of Peter as they make their way into that right-hander. Here they come down towards us. It is Luke Lucchesi from Johan Fourie. Here comes Robbie Teings, and he's not too far behind Graham Stephen. Then it's Peter van der Spy, Andre Steenkamp. Behind Andre Steenkamp, it's Herman Lazarus. And behind Lazarus, it's 10th place man, Raymond Duggan.
So Raymond Duggan was just outside of the top 10 going into the race itself. And I must say Raymond Duggan has gone from strength to strength in iRacing. A little bit further back from him, there comes Charles Hubert. And then behind that, we've got Renier Hubert. Leonardo Beccari, he was right off the tail end of the field initially with the qualifying. He battled with his first lap, Eugene Manouk. A little bit further back, remember the first man that went off was Willem Pinaar. And Willem Pinaar finds himself down in a 15th position. Francois Hubert is on the attack.
Yeah, Francois Hubert only 2/10 of a second there on the case of Johan Fourie, who, by the way, has lost that second position to Peter. He moved up into second place, and Peter Hubert has regained that second position from Johan Fourie. He has dropped down into that third position and now defending there from Francois Hubert. But they're coming from behind. Stephen, Teens, and Van der Spy. They are coming. There they come. That's 3 cars behind that fight for second, third, and fourth. They're going to catch up to Hubert, Fourie, and Hubert pretty soon. You can see that train's going to become a 6-way fight pretty soon as the 3 of them go through. Peter van der Spy. Just ahead of him is Robbie Teens. Just ahead of Robbie Teens is Graham Stephen. And there's nothing between Stephen Teens and Van der Spy in that fight out there for 5, 6, and 7.
Well, while all that is on the go, it's Luke Lucchesi that's stretching his legs at the front. Remember, there was about a 1.9 second gap when Johan Fourie got the gap. Well, Johan Fourie got the gap. Peter Hubert got past him again. So with Peter Hubert now being the closest man to our leader, let's have a look at how he actually got past there. Peter Hubert passing Johan Fourie.
Yeah, and Johan Fourie has regained that second place again, but this is the replay as to how Peter, he just dived right across the bars there of Fourie and stole that place away from him. And while we were watching that replay, Johan regained that second position back there from Peter Hubert. And that is the replay.
Oof.
And it is going to be on the same place and exactly the same way that it was taken away from him, Gary. That Johan says, no, what you do to me, I'll do to you at exactly the same place, at exactly the same way.
Wow, that was awesome stuff. So that front end battle continues. Look at that. Very, very close to one another. And Captain Pete is still on the charge. Captain Pete, that's what he sees in front of him. Very, very tantalizing to see that right in front of you. The Hackett's blue and the orange in front of him. That is Graham Stevens' favorite colors. Triple pots there from the braking system of these Rileys. As we said, not the most beautiful looking motor car, but pretty interesting to drive. And Luke Lucchesi starting to stretch out 3.4 at the front, and he just puts in a 141.783, a personal best and also the fastest lap out there so far.
Yeah, it's a purple lap there for Luke Lucchesi, the quickest man out there so far with 10 minutes and 45 seconds done in this 40-minute stint. So here comes the Huberts, here comes Peter Hubert now into that right-hander. Will he dive in front of Fourie? Wow, that was suicidal. Peter Hubert says, I don't care who you are, son. I am going to move into this position ahead of you and go back into that second place. They were having this massive fight out there for second, third, and fourth with Francois Hubert having the best seat in the house. But while Peter and Johan are having this dogfight out there, Lucchesi is pulling away. He's almost 3.5 seconds ahead there of this fight for second, third, and fourth as we watch the one for 5, 6, and 7 come into view. And Robbie Teings is ahead of Graham Stephen. Robbie Teings is ahead of Graham Stephen. Van der Spy still there in that 7th position. Remember, Stephen led that fight between himself, Teings, and Van der Spy. And P5 has now swapped around. Robbie has now got his nose ahead there of Graham.
Well, they're so close on lap times. It's pretty much a case of who's thinking and scheming and pacing himself correctly at this stage of the fight. Do you just sit there and stick it out, or you just keep on trucking? You've got to be aware of the fact that Johan Fourie is losing out to Peter Joubert, who's trying to hold on to Luke Lucchesi, who once again is the fastest man out there.
Well, Peter Joubert is the fastest man out there now, 1:41.492. That fastest lap is chopping and changing all the time, and now Peter Joubert is telling Johan Fourie, listen here, I'm finished messing around now. It's time for me to take this Riley sports car, sports prototype, and check out of here and go after Luke Lucchesi, but you're not going to get away from Johan Fourie that easy. There comes Fourie. He showed himself into that. That is a quick little S-bend that they're going through there into that right-hander. It's a very lovely flowing circuit. It is a Watkins Glen track. As you just in the distance see Lucchesi disappear down the road. So, Fourie is the meat in the Joubert sandwich at this point in time. And if he cannot make the move on Peter, then Johan says, man, I'm going to grab hold of you on Joubert. Peter Joubert makes a mistake going into that right-hander. And that could be because of pressure from Johan Fourie.
That's going to cost him dearly. He's not going to get back into that battle that he was in. There's just not enough space and time out there to be able to get around that one. So Peter Joubert coming back onto the circuit, dropping numerous positions. So where does that leave Johan Fourie? Well, he's got Francois Joubert in tow. Francois in his favorite black and white basis colors. Using all the circuit and a whole heap more. 0.3, 0.4 between the two of them, and if they're going to now hold one another up, it's just going to make so much easier for this man, Luke Lucchesi. Look how far he's now pulling away at the front. Somehow he's just got that little bit extra. There you can see as the camera pans back towards Johan and Francois, and then the next battle behind that, Robbie Teings is in the house as well. Robbie Teings ahead there of Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen trying to have a long run around the outside. He brings with him Peter van der Spy.
Yeah, but he must be careful. He can't go too much into attack mode because Captain Peter van der Spy in the US Air Force, Riley, is on the case there of Graham Stephen. They are side by side. Are they working their way towards the inner loop? Yes, they are. Through the inner loop they go. Captain Pete using the track and more. That will cost him. He will lose ground there now to Graham and to Robbie. Will Peter van der Spy by driving over the rumble strip. Yep, out through the outer loop they go, dropping down the chute now. And he has lost some ground there. He's now 1.3 seconds behind Robbie Teings.
So let's go from the top down. That is Luke Lucchesi, the man that's leading out very handsomely. In the background, Johan Fourie, and in his shadow is this man. It's always there and thereabouts. Francois Joubert putting the pressure on. Robbie Teings has just got past Graham Stephen. Wow, that must have been quite a maneuver to be able to make that one up. So Robbie Teings just ahead there of Graham Stephen as they come over the rise. Graham Stephen in very, very close proximity to the back bumper, showing just a little bit of reserve right now. Staying out of the trouble is, in fact, Peter van der Spy. He's just made a little bit of a gap and he said, hold on, let you guys fight this out.
And Gary, while we were watching that, I saw Peter Joubert get past Herman Lazarus and past Raymond Duggan. So he has moved past both of them. They were just ahead of him after he made that mistake. And he's now moved up there into that 7th position. He's gone past Lazarus, and this is him making the move there on Raymond Duggan.
Looks like Wayne Camage ran into a bit of a problem as he spun it around, and then he had to make a plan to turn it right around, waited for a bit of a gap. Nice little spin that with the silk cut car, and doing a lovely job to get it back onto the circuit again.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he's completely out of this one. And look who's gone ahead of Robbie Teings. Graham Stephen has made the move on Robbie Teings. Graham goes back up into that fourth position. And Captain Pete is now caught up to both of them again. After losing some ground, he was 1.3 behind them. He's now only 0.2 of a second behind Robbie Teings. So Peter van der Spy is back in the hunt once again, in the stealth outfit, part of the US Air Force, making his way up the hill there, and he's certainly going after the two of them. They are side by side. Teams having a look again there at Graham Stephen. Into that right-hander they go, and now they climb up the hill. They'll make a slight turn to the left. I think they've just made their way out of the toe of the boot, gone up the chute, and now that they should be heading towards the end of the lap. They'll do a downhill run, and then the pit lane should be on their right hand side.
Just a little bit further back, there's another battle royal that's going on there. That's Herman Lazarus and Peter Hubert. Nothing much between the two of them. In fact, Herman Lazarus has a look and tries to see if he can work his way holding on to that position, but no, it's Peter Hubert that moves ahead of him. And once again, nothing much in the difference in pace between these two, and they're just fighting one another and almost slowing one another down, just making it a little bit easier for the boys up front. Talking about the boys up front, the comeback kid is under lots of pressure. Look at that. Graham Stephen and Peter van der Spy putting all the pressure on the Red Bull Riley.
Well, if we look in that second and third position, Gary, Johan Fourie is now only 0.3 of a second behind second place man Francois Hubert. So Johan Fourie is applying pressure there as we look at this massive fight going on for 4, 5 and 6. Teings is 9.1 seconds behind Fourie, but Graham Stephen only 0.7 of a second behind Teings, and Van der Spy only 0.2 of a second behind Graham Stephen. So that is a lovely dice going out there for 4, 5 and 6. As a Charles Hubert there in P10, he will have Raymond Duggan ahead of him, and that's a fight for that second last position in the top 10 between Duggan and Hubert only 0.8 of a second in there behind Raymond Duggan.
There comes the next man through, that's Andre Steenkamp, and then he's got a fair amount of space between himself and Leonardo Beccari. Renier Hubert, the next one that's in there. And then a long way further back is Suisse Hubert. Johan Fourie on the move.
Yeah, Johan Fourie has he's 5/4 of a second behind Francois Hubert. So he is catching him, and he wants that second place back again. He needs to go after Luc Lequesi, because Luc is 4.2, 4.3 seconds ahead of these two, as they go into that inner loop, and pressure there from Johan Fourie on Francois Hubert as Raymond Duggan makes his way into pit lane. Gary, is this a routine pit stop? I think so.
I think
or
he had damage.
Could it be damage or a stop go?
I think he had damage on the motor car, because he was shown as having had an incident. Yep.
Well, that is the incident.
That's probably damaged the tires so badly to the point where he's decided, well, let's rather make a plan and get going into the pits, do the necessary pit stop, and get back out on circuit again. He comes back in that 13th position. Don't forget about this man up front, Luc Lequesi. Remember, we said it was 2, then we said it was 3 seconds, and he is now 4.6 out there in the lead. Luc Lequesi today in a class of his own.
Yeah, right behind them you see that fight for second and third between Francois Hubert and Johan Fourie. 0.6 of a second between Francois and Johan for that second and third positions, and they are 10.4, nearly 10.5 seconds ahead of Robbie Teings in that fourth position, who is 2 seconds ahead of Graham Stevens. So that fight has petered out. It's only basically Peter Hubert that is on the move. Remember, he was all the way down in 10th position, was Peter Hubert, and he is on the move. He is only 0.4 of a second behind Van der Spy, that is there in that 6th position. So after getting it all wrong and dropping down into 10th place, he is now only 0.3 of a second out of the top 6.
Herman Lazarus finds himself a long way further down. There's a big gap, a 10-second gap. Charles Hubert has just gone past him now as well. And then Andre Steenkamp, somehow it's just not working out for Andre recently. As there you see him coming through the dip and coming up over the rise. The 46 car, his favorite color, plain black, often with the Batmobile insignia on it. And well, it's just not working out for him. Peter van der Spy down in that 7th position, but keeping the pressure on.
There's a fight out there for P8, Gary, between Charles Hubert and Herman Lazarus. Only 0.4 of a second between the two of them, and there you see them on screen. That is car number 6 and car number 7 that's having this massive fight there with each other, and that is Charles and Herman challenging Charles there for that 8th position. As we see them go into the right hand, and that is from the blimp or the helicopter cam from way above Watkins Glen Speedway, which is situated just outside of New York. And those are those two guys you see going out into that left-hander, and that is Lazarus. That is all over the back there of Charles Hubert.
Well, you remember this circuit was originally built in 1948. The first time there was ever Formula One on this circuit was in 1961. That's about 720 days before I was even born, and they were doing that then already. As Charles Hubert decides it's time to go into the pits, definitely some damage on the front end of that car, and that might be affecting the pace of that motor car, thus deciding to come in. Johan Verrees getting closer.
Yeah, Johan Verrees only 0.4 of a second behind Francois Hubert, who is in turn nearly 4.7 seconds behind Luc Lucchesi. But we keep an eye here on Johan Verrees in that 14 Monster Energy Riley Sports prototype, right there on the case of Francois Hubert. I think Johan will settle for a second if he can't win, but he wouldn't want to settle for anything else. However, behind Johan Verrees, Peter van der Spy is going to go up on the inside of Graham Stephen. Van der Spy up on the inside of Graham Stephen, and just ahead of them there, you see the number 5 of Peter Hubert.
Well, there was just one little mistake, one little lock-up, and that was going down into the chute. It's a downhill, and it's a tight corner that you go into. That's turn number 6, the chute itself. And, well, that was all that was required for Peter van der Spy. Still finds himself outside of the grouping that he wants to be in. He's got to go one step further forward to get himself into the top 5. And the man that he's wanting to actually get to is, in fact, this man, the Peter Hubert outfit. And Peter Hubert probably having one of his best races for a long time.
Yeah, personal best there for Francois Hubert and for Johan Verrees. You see the green times come up there. That is PDs for the two of them. And Verrees still applying some serious pressure there. So Peter Hubert in that Rockstar car is chasing down the Red Bull of Robbie Teens. So it's a Rockstar car. I see Herman Lazarus is there in the pit lane. Here he comes down pit lane. He's pitting out of 9th position with nearly 25 minutes out of the 40 done. So we are 5 minutes over the halfway mark as Leonardo Beccari pitting out of P10, also making his way down pit road.
Well, does that mean that everybody's going to have to do a pit stop? Very possibly so. Look how long that slow ride is all the way in, and then you come to a stop, and now you stand. And you stand. And the seconds tick away. Look on your left-hand side, you see the cars busy coming past. The man that was in front of you has already left the pit lane. Now only do you get a chance to come out. Now you've got that, I think it's 60 kilometers an hour that you have to do this nice little kink as you come out back onto the track. So you got to feather it in. You can't go across that line on your left-hand side. There only can you get back out onto the racing line and through into turn number 2. Up over the blind rise you go through the S's towards turn number 4.
Well, Luc Lucchesi and Johan Verrees is in the pit lane. Here comes Luc Lucchesi and Johan Verrees. So with 25 minutes out of 40 done, make it 26 minutes. They're 6 minutes over the halfway mark in this race. Both Lucchesi and Verrees decide it's time to visit the pits.
Well, that's going to bring Peter van der Spy into play because Peter Hubert has gone into the pits, as has the man behind him, and he's also in the golf-colored car of Graham Stephen. They all in there right now, and the first man to leave the pits is the overall leader, and he gets out of the pit nice and quickly to make a plan to just open up that gap once again and put him where he wants to be. If you think about it, Luke Lucchese, once everybody's been into the pits, is probably going to have a very, very decent lead.
Yeah, so Francois Hubert, that's in P1 at this point in time. He'll have to dive into pit lane sometime as Graham Stephen in the golf-coloured Riley makes his way back out onto track once again. And Johan Fourie is, where is Johan Fourie? He's still in pit lane. That is Andre Steenkamp in the Batmobile that is busy moving out there in car number 46. So Johan Fourie, there he goes, making his way into pit exit now is Johan Fourie. So he'll have to get past Steenkamp very quickly and then start making his way through the field, keeping in mind that Francois Hubert and quite a few others still need to visit the pits in the not too distant future.
Well, there must have been a lot of damage on Johan's car. Look at that, 50.4 seconds as opposed to high 9s and low 10s for everybody else. That's the period of time that he was out there in the pit lane. So that cost him badly, and the leader comes in, and that will eventually mean that he's going to lose out to Robbie Teings. That's the next man coming through. Robbie's going to come in. The next one behind that's Peter van der Spy. Oh, Peter van der Spy, and then that means that Luke Lucchese is going to be coming through now as he takes that long right-hander. He doesn't have to take that run off road. He's been into the pits already, and watch the left-hand side leaderboard up into second, and it's not too long, and he'll be up to the front end of the grid.
Well, Luke Lucchese in that first position as Robbie Teings and Peter van der Spy in the Red Bull and US Air Force stealth outfit of Pete. Wow, they came in together and they leave pit lane together in at the same time, and both of them out at the same time as well, as the two of them rejoin, and they're going to rejoin there with Peter Hubert. Peter Hubert in that Rockstar car says, come on, Robbie, get out the way. You are slow. You're making your way out of the pits. I'm up to speed. I'm up to pace. I've got the heat in my tires, and I need to get past you. Will he nail him going into the inner loop? He sits on his outside, and yeah, he goes through. And out the inner loop they go, and now they'll make their way into the outer loop and then down the chute.
The interesting part of this is that look how close Francois Hubert has got to the back of Luke Lucchese. Let's have a look at the pit times that they were in. And Luke Lucchese was in for 10 seconds. Francois Hubert 8.8, so he's fueled it light, and he's looking very good in the Rowdy unit as he holds on to that second position. He's got a bird's eye view of the man up front. Look at that, super duper tantalizing. That's your target, that's what you need to catch. The only problem is that that is the fastest unit out there, the man that's logged the fastest lap to date, and his name's Luke Lucchese. Catching him, if you can, is one thing. Passing him is going to be another. I'm pretty sure that if he can get into the slipstream, he will be able to stay there. But how do you really make a move on the likes of Luke Lucchese on the day that he's on song?
Well, let's have a look and see, because Francois was only 0.8 of a second behind Luke Lucchese at this point in time. As you see the Lucchese Hot Wheels sponsored Riley just there ahead of second place man Francois Hubert in the 304 car out there in that second place. And it was 0.8. It's now, well, it's chopping and changing. It was down to 5 at one point in time, but that's the Constantina effect of the track. But Johan Fourie and Lazarus, that's another one we'll check later on. But here comes Van der Spy. Van der Spy is all over the back end there of Robbie Teings as they go into the inner loop, and Van der Spy makes a move there on Robbie Teings. They use that track, the rumble strip, and everything there that she's got on that car and of Watkins Glen. Now they make their way through the outer loop and they drop down the chute. This is a very quick downhill part of the chute. They go, all these little corners are part of the chute. It levels out at the bottom, and then they go into the boot section. They're making their way now through the right-hander and climb up the rise that is the heel of the boot.
Look at this one up front. Visually, it looks pretty much the same, but if you watch the timing board on the top, you'll see it went from 0.6. Now we're in the higher 0.7s. Every now and again, it touches on 0.8. Can he close up now? Is he close enough? 0.7, 0.6, into the lower 0.6 as well? Yes, so the Riley does have a fair amount of slipstreaming ability as they go through turn number 1 up towards the S's they go now. That's a long sweep and climb through the S's. Turn 2, turn 3. Now that slight right-hander into turn 4, and off you go into that long back straight. And we've seen numerous different passing moves at the end of the back straight where you go into the loop.
Right into the inner loop, the two of them go. Francois Lucchesi and Hubert, first and second, working their way now out of the outer loop. And then they go down that chute. But in the interim, we've got Peter Hubert, Peter van der Spy, and Robbie Teings. And that is Teings in the Red Bull car that's going to have a look on the outside. That is the inner loop. And Teings not close enough to Peter to make that move on him. Maybe he can catch up onto him going down the chute that comes after this one, the outer loop. But Robbie Teings is on a mission. He's got missile lock there on Peter van der Spy as they work their way down the chute and now into the right-hander that is the heel of the boot. Through that right-hander, the heel of the boot. And it looks like Peter van der Spy has got the edge there on Robbie Teings. They're on the gas for a short while. Then they've got the right-hander coming up that is the toe of the boot. And as they make their way through the toe of the boot, these two are making their way out of the final right-hander at Watkins Glen, down the home straight towards turn 1, known as the 90.
Francois Hubert has found something extra. He's down to 0.4 of a second. Remember, it was 4, then 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, touched on 0.8. We went away to that Robbie Teings battle, and when we came back, it's now down to 0.3. So, is Luke Lucchesi just playing it a little bit safer? I don't think so. I think he's going as fast as he can. I think Francois Hubert is the man on the move.
Certainly the man on the move into the inner loop. They go once again. That's a lovely flowing track here. Is Watkins Glen International Raceway, the home of Formula One, home of NASCAR, and Formula One once upon a time. NASCAR still does a couple of races here, and so does the IndyCar series. And it's a lovely track, lovely flowing as Francois Hubert is in there now, 0.4 of a second behind Luke Lucchesi. And he certainly wants that second position away there, that lead away there, I should say, from Lucchesi.
Well, nothing much in it at this stage of the fight between the two of them. Having, as I said, to close on him is one thing. To get past him is another. Another man that's applying the pressure is Robbie Teings, and he is closing once again onto the back of Peter van der Spy. Peter always loves to get into that top 5. That's basically his marker, is a top 5 every race, start and finish every race, and you are then competitive over the course of a series. He's not too worried about trying to win races. He believes that when the others make mistakes, he goes 9/10 all the way, and that is where it is. It's getting tight. It's getting tight.
I saw Luke Lucchesi make a bit of a mistake earlier on. He used track limits and a touch more, and that is what has brought Francois now right onto his case once again. So, will Francois make the move somewhere? He's got a comfortable lead there on Peter Hubert. He's almost 22 seconds ahead of Peter Hubert, is Francois. So he's got no pressure from the man in third position. And here he comes. He's a 1/10 of a second behind him. They've got a back marker ahead of them. Into the inner loop, the two of them go. He's the man that's got no pressure. Francois, the man with all the pressure in the world on his shoulders, is that man, race leader Luke Lucchesi, as the back marker just steps out of his way and says, let's go through. That's Mike Verrier that moves out the way there for Luke and Francois.
It was, one of the easier back markers to pass, as that man always dictates the level of decency out there on track and expects the same from everybody else. Robbie Teings still in the fight. Robbie Teings is wanting to go higher than just a top 5. But Peter van der Spy, he's super duper fit. He does lots of practice. He's in the gym on a regular basis. He flies jet planes on a regular basis around the world, so he keeps his eye in by doing eye racing for his hand-eye coordination, loves to be right on top of things, and he's very clinical out there on circuit. He doesn't make mistakes very easily. 36 minutes of the 40 minutes. Can Peter van der Spey hold on to that one ahead of Robbie Teens? I almost think he's going to stay ahead of the comeback kid.
Well, we're going to have a look-see as we've got 3.5 minutes on the clock left to go, and here comes Francois Joubert. 0.4 of a second. Pressure there from Joubert on Lucchesi. Into that right-hander they go, making their way over the rise. And into that left-hander, into the right-hander they go once again. Now,
here he goes.
Yeah, they go. He sits on the outside. That's going down the back straight. Will he dive bomb him going into the inner loop? They are side by side. There's the inner loop. Does he dive bomb? No, he doesn't. He stays in there through that inner loop they go. That's a very fast-flowing inner loop. And he had a look there at Lucchesi, but if anything, he's lost some ground there to Luke Lucchesi, because it's gone out to just under 0.7 of a second that Joubert has lost there to Lucchesi.
Well, I think that was probably the last gasp effort by Francois Joubert. I don't believe he's going to be able to do much from there. Robbie Teens is once again right on the back bumper of Peter van der Spey. He closed up, also lost a bit of ground, and now starting to close up again, also within 0.5 of a second. Another one that's going for an additional position is this man, Raymond Duggan, up to 7th and pressurizing the man himself, Graham Stephen.
Yeah, Raymond Duggan in the sister Monster Energy car there, and he is going after Graham Stephen into that right-hander they go, or left-hander, sorry, the other way is right, as they're having this lovely fight out there for that 7th place. But heaven alone knows what happened to Johan Fourie down there in that 8th position, over 50 seconds in the pit area. Whatever happened to Johan, I failed to see what happened. I just obviously missed it. And look there, a personal best for Mike Verrier, a 142.714. So nice there for Mike Verrier, as Raymond Duggan is still going one-on-one there with Graham Stephen, and that is coming out of the boot section. But with 1.5 minutes to go, down the back straight, into the inner loop. Once again, is this the last chance that Francois might have had? I don't think so. I think he's going to have another go at him somewhere, because they're now heading through the outer loop and into the chute.
Well, that was the second time that he tried on the same spot as they dump it down hill into turn 6, the chute. And, well, I think that he's going to try once more on that exact same spot. It looked like he lined it up. It actually looks, when they go out into the back straight, as if he's got the run, but then he just can't consummate that move as they go down into the loop. So maybe that was 2 practice runs, and then, well, he's going to have to decide, is it all or nothing? Does he go for that second position and let Luke take away the top position? You just said that Mike Verrier put up a fastest lap. You can see it's taken them quite a while to get away from Mike Verrier. Here they come through now. I think they're probably going to get another lap in as they take those last couple of corners, and there is just 22 seconds to go.
That's the final corner, Gary.
That's
so
the
yes,
final
they
corner.
will have
So
one more lap.
to go. I'd love to. Oh, yo, look at this. He's going to have a go on the inside line, and this could work. Well, for the first time ever, he's on the inside of Luke Lucchesi. Luke Lucchesi going to try and go for the cutback. Now, will Luke Lucchesi pull the same move as what was done to him on the back straight going down into the loop? That's the rise. It's the left-hander. Now there's the right-hander. This is where you've got to get the drive. You've got to sweep it around on the outside. And that is what Francois Joubert was doing. Well, now he's going to be on the outside line, and I think he's going to be dictated to by Francois Joubert. Oh, he makes it. Oh, can he hold on to it? No. He's going to go off the circuit, and that's going to hand it to Francois Joubert. For once, Luke Lucchesi put under pressure and just not been able to absorb that pressure at that pace. Francois Joubert, brilliant pressure on Luke Lucchesi, and that after the 40 minutes is up, all he's got to do is get back to the checkered flag.
Well, that was a mistake that was made there by Lucchesi. He was way over eager to take that position back, and that, as Janu van der Westhuizen would say, that's just running out of talent. That was panic stations there by Luke Lucchese, which wasn't necessary. The 40 minutes is up. He's just heading out of the toe of the boot now. Is Francois Joubert. He'll go into that left-hander. Yeah, there'll be another left-hander coming up in front of him. And then he'll drop slightly downhill after this left-hander, slightly downhill, and there is the final corner. Pit exit is on his, and pit lane entrance is on his right-hand side, and victory goes to Francois Joubert.
I'll tell you what, that was a brilliant piece of driving. Luke Lucchese was there and thereabouts all along. He'll be a bit disappointed with that. He had really done enough to deserve the win. While the two of them up-dusted and disappeared away from Peter Joubert, and Peter Joubert was quick enough in the Rockstar energy drink car to run away 5-6 seconds from Peter and Robbie that were having their own battle. So that brings him across the line. Here comes Peter van der Spy. He slowly but surely worked his way away from this man, Robbie Teings. Robbie comes across the line. And then Graham Stephen. Well, it was good, it was bad, it was a mixture. He's held on to that one, and he's going to... can he make it? Can he make it? Yes, I think he's going to. Graham Stephen will take it there ahead of Raymond Duggan. Johan Ferree, as always, somehow makes a way to come back. Andre Steenkamp in the top 10 once again.
Yeah, that's the top 10 across the line. Leonardo Bakari will round off that top 10 as he brings that Castrol car towards the checkered flag. Into the final right-hander goes Leonardo Bakari, and he will finish in that 10th position. Swys Joubert, well, he will come home there in 11th. Well, Swys Joubert with Charles Joubert rounding off the top dozen. He will finish there in 12th. And then Herman Lazarus, who's 1.5 seconds behind him. There's Herman Lazarus going through your picture now. He will finish in that 13th position in car number 7.
Wow, what can I say? Amazing stuff. Just Eugene Manouk still to come through to pick up the checkered flag. And I think he has now come through as well. So let's have a look. Where do we end up with this one after what an amazing race that was? And as soon as we can get those results, the computer will bring it up for us. And we can see what those gaps were eventually at the end of the day.
Well, what a race. I must say I thoroughly enjoyed this race. And as the doc said earlier on, might not be the prettiest car, but it handles very, very nicely indeed. Only the first 9 drivers were out there on the lead lap. And your podium will be Francois Joubert, P1, Luke Lucchese, P2, and Peter Joubert in that 3rd position. That is your podium for this one.
Peter van der Spy, lovely, once again in the top 4, top 5, that's where he likes to be. Robbie Teings, nice to see the comeback kid getting back into the front end of the grid. And, well, to beat the likes of Graham Stephen, you got to wake up pretty early on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, Graham Stephen, Raymond Duggan, Johan Ferree, finishing 45.5 seconds behind Francois Joubert in that 8th position in car 14. Not exactly what Johan Ferree wanted. Andre Steenkamp, and he is the last man, Andre Steenkamp, 57.5 seconds behind Francois Joubert to be on the lead lap.
Yeah, just behind that, Leonardo Bakari, Swys Joubert, Charles Joubert, Herman Lazarus, Mike Verrier starting off the tail end of the field, ending up in that 14th place, doing the gentlemanly thing and starting off the back of the pack every time. Timothy Stanton, nice to see that he's back again after having spent a bit of time overseas with the kids. Wayne Camage, Willem Pienaar, and then Eugene Manouk in that 18th position.
Well, actually, Gary, now that I look at the leaderboard properly, the first 13 cars was on the lead lap and not the first 9. Mike Verrier is the first car to go 1 lap down.
Well, that's it. And, well, next week, Wednesday, we'll be back with you again with some more iRacing of the best car driver combinations in South Africa.
Well, awesome. Watkins Glen has proven to be an awesome hunting ground once again for these iRacing Master Series drivers. And we look forward to seeing you again, same time, same place, next week, Wednesday, for another exciting round of iRacing. Until then, keep safe, keep well, and we will see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Good night, everybody.